Hello, my friends, and welcome to this week's episode of the Time to Level Up podcast. I am excited today because I had the opportunity to talk to my client, Jennifer Rubenstein, and I'm going to share with you my conversation with her. As you're listening, I want you to notice how she really has been working on figuring out what the right thing is for her in lots of different aspects of her life, and how she's been able to sift through her thoughts and all that's going on in the world in order to find it. Buckle up and listen in. Here we go.
You're listening to the Time to Level Up podcast. I'm your host, business life coach, Andrea Liebross. I help women in business commit to their own growth personally and professionally. Each week, I'll bring you strategies to help you think clearly, gain confidence, make your time productive, turn every obstacle into an opportunity, and finally overcome the overwhelm so that you can make money and manage life. Let's create a plan so you have a profitable business, successful career, and best of all, live with unapologetic ambition. Are you ready to drop the drama and figure out the how in order to reach your goals? You're in the right place. It's time to level up. Let's do this. Hey, Time to Level Up podcast listeners. I am very excited today to have my friend and client, Jennifer Rubenstein, here to talk to us about her personal and professional journey and her coaching journey. She is a publisher of a food magazine, a business owner, a founder of a foundation. Oh, I need to know more about that. I don't know a lot about that. A mom and a wife, and she has a teeny tiny house in her backyard.
That's a great way of saying it.
Isn't that a good way to say it? So, Jennifer, why don't you introduce yourself?
Andrea, thank you. Well, you did a great job. I really appreciate the fact that I'm here. So I'm Jennifer Rubenstein, and I, as Andrea said, am the publisher of Edible Indie and the co-owner of Edible Indie. We're a local food magazine that really talks about exploring the art of food and drink on a local level in central Indiana. And we are not restaurant reviewers. Let's just put that right out there. I do not do restaurant reviews. We tell the stories about the artisans, the farmers, the producers, the people who bring you that delightful and deliciousness. So that's really what my core is right now. I also, as you said, I'm a wife of 13 years. We just celebrated Lucky 13, mother of 2 children, 11 and 8. So they keep me on my toes. 2 girls, redhead girls too. So they keep me on my toes. And the founder of Edible Indie Foundation. So I'm surprised I never told you about this, or we didn't really talk in depth about this. So we founded the Edible Indie Foundation after doing for the last, at the time about the last 12 years, we'd been raising money for the Epilepsy Foundation of Indiana. My husband actually had epilepsy growing up as a child, and we got really involved. My husband was the co-founder of the Epilepsy Foundation of Indiana, and we actually got involved about 10 years ago with a camp in southern Kentucky called CCK, the Courageous Center for Kids, and it's a medical camp where they have family weekend camps, and they also do week-long summer camps for just a variety of different children. It could be wounded warriors, but it could also be diabetes camp. It could be Down syndrome camp. We happen to be involved with the epilepsy camp. And so every year, our golf outing, we raise between $20,000 and $30,000 that we set aside for this particular camp. And we actually send up to 30 families in October of every year, all expenses paid except for the gas to get down there. It's all expenses paid for them to come for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All meals are paid for. They have these beautiful rooms. All the medical necessities are there. They have basically a mini hospital on site. So if somebody does have an episode, they can be there. But it's pretty amazing. And so we've gotten really involved with that. And, obviously with COVID last year, we didn't get to do it, but we actually have all the funding through 2026 for families to go to this camp. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So So we called it the Edible Indie Foundation just because of the fact that we have the magazine Edible Indie. There's nothing other than just the naming. So yeah,
No,
so that's kind of,
I love that.
me.
So, okay. So Jennifer and I began working together. I don't know. Seems like a while ago, a year and a half ago, maybe.
No, I think actually close to 2.5 years ago.
2.5. I knew it was a fall.
Yeah, because we did it before COVID.
That's right. We did it before COVID. We did it before COVID. Right. Okay. So tell me, when you first reached out, like go back to that spot, what do you think was going on at that point?
So we've owned the magazine now for 8 years, and it's a labor of love. I worked in corporate America for many years. I did advertising and marketing, and then I started my own consulting gig about 15, 16 years ago, when the job market kind of went down, and the first people that were let go really were the marketers and the advertisers, which is always kind of crazy to me because that's one of the three legs of your business, right? But what people were doing is they were hiring consultants, and they were, kind of on the move because they wanted to bring in people who could do somebody's job for less time and probably less money, because somebody like myself could do probably two people's jobs just because of the years of experience that I've had. And so when we bought the magazine, I thought, this is fantastic. It's great. We're going to go out there. And I would say over the course of the years, including the last 3 years of really when we started working together, is I started to become overwhelmed. I started to become stressed, and also in a spot of just, I don't even know what to say, but it was like just a plateau. I was at a plateau effective. I wasn't excited about the business. I wasn't mad about the business, but it just wasn't really going anywhere. And I felt like I had put all my efforts into this and just wasn't moving the needle. And so I met you at a breakfast meeting, and you and I hit it off really well. And then we just started talking, and I felt like, maybe this is the point that I need to be pushed, because I know that there are weaknesses, but sometimes it's hard to look at those weaknesses or where you can improve. And I was and I think that you and I talked in a lot of detail personally. I was in a personal bad spot. I'd had some family issues, and my father-in-law was sick, and there was just a lot of stuff going on. And I just felt like there was something that needed to happen, and you were that something that needed to happen. And so we started to work together, and I felt like it was really the whole purpose of that was to find those improvements and to be able to take that step and to find more confidence in myself. And something that you said at that breakfast meeting was what really drove that. And I know I put it in the survey that you asked me about, is it's okay. You kept saying, it's okay. You've done the best you can, and it's okay. And that really resonated with me, because I'm not a person to ever say it's okay. It's what could I have done differently? What could I have done better? And so that really drove me to want to work with you to be able to figure out what that next place was in my Edible Indie professional life, as well as my personal life.
Yeah, I mean, that phrase, and it's okay, is a really powerful one. It puts everything in a different perspective, doesn't it? Like, okay, maybe I am feeling overwhelmed. Maybe I am questioning, what's my next move? Maybe I'm not feeling excited about edible. Not that it's bad. I remember this. You weren't like, I don't hate this. It wasn't that. It was just like, you weren't feeling it anymore. But there are lots of things going on that were contributing to that. And that was okay.
Well, and I think, and like we said, I think that, right, it's okay. It's okay that I felt that way. But I think, like you said, if money were no object and I could do this and volunteer my time and not worry about an income for my family, it would be the perfect job. I mean, I truly love it. It's inspirational. It's a legacy. It's a lot of fun. And I feel like every time I put an issue out, I get better and better and better. And it's hard to then go, well, how can I improve in this? And why aren't people seeing this? That's the big thing is, why aren't people seeing this? But the reality of it is it wasn't, why aren't people seeing this? It's, why aren't people seeing me?
Right. All right. So what did we work on? What did we do?
The first thing that you did was you made me buy a panda planner. You're like, you need a panda planner. I think that you have stock options in this panda planner.
Actually, now I use a different planner. Is that funny? Now I use a different planner.
Well, I want to know about this different planner because I use my phone. Everything is in my phone. And that was the very first thing that you said is you're like, listen, you need to sit down. And of course, I'm telling you this, but the listeners and the watchers, the followers, they don't necessarily know this about this part of it. But you said you need to sit down every morning and every night. You need to have that 15 minutes of you time to be able to set your day up, which secret is my husband tells me this all the time. But I don't listen to him because he's my husband. But you tell me, and I'm like, oh, right. Yes, this is it.
Of course.
This is, whoa, the light goes on, and you're just like, whatever. So you said, take the Panda Planner, look at it every day, and it has your to-do list. And then it has the top 3. I think it has what your top 3 are. And then it has like your list of 6 tasks, but it also has your affirmations, what you're looking forward to. And then at night you write maybe what your goal was, or maybe just a feeling, a thought, whether you could improve something or whether something really went well. And even through COVID, I have actually utilized this even when I wasn't necessarily going to work. And I just felt like that was something that I had not done in my life. I felt like everything was fine. It was digital. I've got it there. I can look at it once, but it's really not true because I found on my notes on my Mac computer that I would have 100 things to do. And I was never able to mark them off because every time I would take one off, I'd put one back up. And it just I became overwhelmed. And I remember telling you, I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I'm anxious. My chest is on fire. And I don't even know at that point, I think it was towards the end of us actually doing coaching that then I actually did end up going on Lexapro because I was to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm working on this. I need to just level it up a little bit more because this burning in my chest every day cannot happen anymore. So between you and, just sort of having that self-realization, that's really what we worked on was that self-realization.
It was.
And of course, trying to figure out, because I really wanted to sell the business, what that would look like. Because at the time we had 2 offers that were coming in and you were helping me to kind of decipher through those, which in the end, neither of them worked out because I realized that neither of them were the right fit for me personally. And that my self-worth was worth more than what I was ever allowing myself to be.
Yes. Okay. So a couple things that I just thought about when you said that. First of all, I want you to go back to that Panda Planner. I want to point something out. When you started to pause and spend 5-10 minutes kind of answering those questions that Panda proposes, I think what happens, because I recognize this in myself, then I start to be able to sift, it becomes more clear what is really physically maybe needs some thinking versus what's going on in my head. So like you said, I went on Lexapro because you're like, okay, I've figured out once I calm myself down, reflect, okay, great, but I still didn't feel perfect. So sometimes people say to me, should I just go right to a doctor? Yes, you should go to your doctor, but you do need to kind of reflect on yourself first in order to go in there with a clearer mind about when to be able to explain what you're really feeling.
Totally. And I think I heard you start to say sift through, but then you kind of repositioned yourself. But that's exactly it is. The Lexapro was not a Band-Aid. And that's what I think so many times, especially women who we try to be these super women, we try to put Band-Aids on things because we don't have time.
Right.
And that was something that you really taught me is you're like, no, you really need to take time. And again, my husband has said this for years, but I just sift him aside. I know. What does he know? His life is perfect, but it's truly the case because when you sit down in the morning and you say, what is really important today? Like, what are my top 3 things that I can cross off my list today? And they may or may not get done. But if I cross one thing off of that list, I feel pretty good. But when I cross all of them off, it makes me feel really good. And then I can funnel what is important. I don't know that I've always had priorities. Like I'm sitting on a proposal right now for a business that I have been sitting on since Thursday that I needed to do. However, normally I would be like really anxious about the fact that maybe I'm procrastinating. But Friday, I found that I needed to take that day for myself. Yesterday, I had the kids off from school and I had a few things that I had to do that were pressing over that proposal. Now today, I will get that proposal done and I will send it over to that client. and they'll understand. But before, that was never anything that I could ever, it just either would have not ever gotten done because it kept getting further and further and further down the task list. Or I would have been so anxious that at 3:00 in the morning, I wouldn't be sleeping and I would have to get up and do it at 3:00 in the morning, which I refuse to do anymore. I do not.
Good.
Since I will not get up and do emails at 3 a.m. in the morning anymore because I can't. That's not good for me.
No, it's not good for you. Now, when you're doing this proposal today, guess what? You're going to have, we spent a lot of time through, I actually can think of 3 different proposals / offers / opportunities you had that we worked through. And I remember as we worked through them with each one, you got kind of more and more bold and confident in your thinking about what you are worth, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I actually, believe it or not, I signed a client. So outside of the edible constraint, you and I had talked about, I've been consulting for a long time. And for the last 2 years, I haven't done any of that because we were trying to sell the magazine. And I actually did close someone last Thursday that was somebody who came to me and said, listen, I need a roadmap. I need some help. I'm a food business, but everybody I'm going to, they keep giving me these proposals for $50,000. And I'm not in that position to be able to do that. So we sat down, and thanks to you, I really sat down, and normally I would have overloaded the proposal with hours so that my hourly rate would have went down to way below where I wanted it to be. And I sat back, and when I did the proposal, I'm like, no, I realistically can budget, instead of 10 hours a month, I can budget 4 to 5 hours, which doubles my rate, which actually is my real rate. So I'm not actually having my rate. And she said yes. And I was like, you know what? Okay. All right. This works. Not that I want to do a ridiculous amount of consulting at this time, but that worked. And I felt really good about saying, like you said, what is my worth? No, I'm worth more than $25 an hour. I'm worth more than $50 an hour. I am worth it, and I'm going to get it. And I just told her this was the price, and she didn't squawk. She liked what was in it. And it was like, okay, but she liked me. And I think that was part of it, is I have that complex of wanting to be liked. And I think that that's part of what you and I also talked. It's okay if you don't like me. It's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I am who I am. I'm a good person. I'm genuine. I'm kind. I'm giving. But if we don't fit, that's okay. But don't take advantage of me.
Right. And you know what else in that? Your rate or the cost of working with you is not really a factor in someone liking you. Like, I remember you were trying to kind of marry the two. They're going to like me more if I charge less. Not really. That's a hard thing for people to get over, that one is not reflective of the other, right?
It's so much true, because if you think about the lawyer that is a bulldog is going to charge $800 an hour and nobody likes them, but they get the job done.
Right.
The client doesn't even like that lawyer.
Right. But they get the job done.
It's true. They get the job done. That's what it is. Not that I'm saying that I'm worth $800 an hour.
No, but I know I get what you're saying. You know what else I'm thinking about is, do you remember you were crafting a proposal and you were trying, I think we went through and I said, well, what do you want time off? Do you want to be having meetings on the fly? Do you want things to be prepared ahead of time? I remember you being like, oh my gosh, you're right. I do want all those things. And then we put them in the proposal, because otherwise it was like we were leaving it up to the universe to, like, the guy was not a mind reader. He was not going to be reading your mind knowing you wanted all those things. But that was hard, right? To actually put that in there.
It was really hard because, like you said, it was, okay, well, they'll just give that to me. They'll just give me time off. But I do remember, and I know exactly who you're talking about now, that they told me to put whatever I wanted together and to take it to them. And they strung me along for 8 months. But then when I really did put, I want to be home to get my kids off of the bus. I want to work from home 3 days a week. I don't want to have to travel. All of these things played a part of them just never really calling me back, even though they were so sure. And then I kind of giggled because COVID hit, and I'm thinking, boy, I wonder how many of you actually worked from home and met your kids at home, and that I think everything that us as women, and that's the shady part about just a lot of businesses, and I'm not saying anything new, that we as women have always gotten the shorter stick because we're the moms, we're the women, we're the wives, we're whatever. And the reality of it is during COVID, I had to still work 40 hours and balance homeschooling the kids virtually and still maintain putting out a magazine and making consulting calls. But what COVID has done for us is it has allowed us to be seen, to be allowed to fuck up, if you will, because of the fact that our kids are running around or a dog is barking and we tried to be so perfect for so long. And like you said, I don't want to be perfect anymore. This is my second act. What I'm doing now, moving forward, will probably be my second act because it's the second part of my work life. So I need to feel good about it. I need to feel happy about it. I need to feel that it is the right thing for me. And I think that that's something that, even though we haven't necessarily worked together, the last little bit on a monthly basis, I still have you in the back of my head saying, you know what, it's okay. You've had these offers on your business. They're not the right offers. There's a reason that they're not the right offers. And something that is right for you will come along, but you just have to be patient.
It's hard being patient, super hard.
I'm not a patient person.
I know you're not, but you're doing it. You're being patient. Actually, in the process of being patient, you're learning a lot about yourself and about what you want and what you don't want, which is kind of exciting, I think.
Truly. And I have a lot of that for you, to thank you because, a business coach, a life coach, I thought about, and you and I had that discussion that I had a therapist as well. And I've had a therapist for 15 years. And you said, it's okay. Your therapist is going to do this for you, but I can do this for you. And then they just marry. And then you have all of these different options and opportunities to be able to better yourself. And I don't think that that's exactly how you said it. I don't remember how you said it, but it's the truth is that since you, I haven't sold my business, but I repurposed it. I've started to do other things. I went on Lexapro to allow myself to be less anxious. I bought a Peloton. I've, been working out 4 or 5 days a week, which again, before it would have been something that I would have been hating because I would have had to have got up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. And I don't like to work out in the morning.
You were that workout thing. We talked about that a lot. I remember that. Yeah, now you're doing it.
And it's like, I'm doing it because one, it is at home. And so that helps. But two, it's because it's on my time. I set aside and I know between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock that somewhere in between there, I will find 45 minutes for myself 4 to 5 days a week. And I think that has been a difference as well. Because you told me, you're like, you have to that was part of that whole Panda plan. You got to take time for yourself. And we don't take time for ourselves.
We don't.
Outside of just work.
I know. Because sometimes we prioritize the work and not ourselves, right?
Or we think that they're the same thing as, we're going to go out for drinks with work people. No, that's not taking time for yourself.
It is not. So trying to figure out what is taking time for yourself and what isn't, drawing the line between that gets fuzzy. But if you do it, I think you benefit from it. Okay. So tell me, where is Edible going now? What's the plan? What's the scoop on Edible?
So in March, we released Edible 2.0. We have a whole new look for the cover. I have a managing editor. So we did hire a managing editor and we're full force into 2021. We're doing a lot of stories. We have 2 interns that are going to be working for us this summer, which is going to just elevate our writing. We're really pursuing a lot of articles on diversity, which is it was something we were doing last year, even before like the Me Too and the Black Lives Matter, that type of stuff. We were already doing it, but we're just repurposing ourselves and really saying it needs to be purposeful here now that we do the stories that other people aren't necessarily doing, but on a positive spin. So we're doing that. We are doing some virtual events. We're partnering with some different people, which is going to be fun. We're actually this summer, I've partnered with Hotel Tango and we're going to do the Thomas and Jen virtual cocktail show on their patios. And it's going to be fun. We're going to do these shows. It's kind of like the old radio remotes where you can come out, you can watch us, you can participate, but you can also watch us from home. We're going to be doing it live, both on Facebook and Instagram, as well as obviously in person. And so it's going to be kind of fun to do that. And I would normally have kind of poo-pooed that because I knew it was going to take a lot of effort. But I think that I'm like, no, this is actually going to be really fun for us to do. And it's okay if we're goofy and it's okay. We don't have to be perfect because that's not my personality. My personality is to have fun, and to be. And so
No,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
noticed what you're doing is you're really taking the parts of the business that you love, right? Because there's some parts you don't love, like in every business. And that's where you're investing your time and your energy and your thinking and leaving the
Yes,
other things up to other people. Because for a while there, you felt like you
absolutely.
were doing everything. Like you were it. You were everything, which is hard,
Yes, it's very
right?
hard. And yes, and I think that that's, I'm still contemplating hiring some people to handle my social media, which is kind of a big step for me. But I think that right now we're in a good spot and I'm really focused on sales and that community effort. And really, I'm trusting my managing editor to help us with a lot of stuff. But yeah,
And
and I
you're
mean,
doing
we're looking,
consulting. Like, look,
and
you're
we're doing
doing,
consulting.
it wasn't an either or, it's a both, right?
Right. And
For a
that
while there, you
consulting
thought it was
fit.
either or.
Well, and I think that because I was over committing myself and it wasn't a good fit, because I
Yes.
was, like you said, I was saying I'm going to do 20 hours a month when the reality was I could only do 5. And so it was stressing me out.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think that that's a good thing. And we've got some other things, I mean, the magazine is still potentially for sale. We're always looking for somebody to take that helm. I love it. I love it to pieces, but I don't know that this is my end game. I don't know
Yeah.
that this is what I want. And that's the journey that you and I have been talking about for a long time. But while I'm here, I'm invested in it. So it's not that I'm not invested in it by any means, but I think I'm ready to maybe look at some different challenges and just some different things in marketing. And I love the food and beverage industry and the farming industry. I think that it's just fascinating. And this whole local movement, it is a blessing for our communities. It's a blessing for people to be able to do their dreams, because I know so many corporate people who have just said, screw it. I want to do what I want to do because I love it. And that's what you're doing. I mean,
That's what I'm doing.
that was what you doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want a job that we can't enjoy. I just can't do it anymore.
No, it's not worth trying to fit in someone else's box. First of all, do what they want you to do if it doesn't fit for you, right? But I think
Right.
there's two elements to that. No, you shouldn't fit in someone else's box if it's not for you. But then everybody's asking, well, what is for me? Right? Like what's on the other side of that? And I think what you've been doing over the past couple of years is that answer has been evolving, right? You've been figuring it out and it's getting clearer and clearer and clearer to you as to what you do
Yeah.
want to be doing and how you want to be spending your time.
And I think that it's okay to say no too. And it's okay
Yes.
for me to, there's so many people who think that because a woman, and women think this too, that because we say no or because it's not a right fit, that all of a sudden we're the bad guys. Like we're not good
Yeah.
people. We're not professional. We're catty. We're this, we're that. And my husband and I, we've gotten involved with a show. And I don't know if did you ever watch The Good Wife by chance
I
on
did not,
TV?
but I've heard about it. My husband's watched all of them.
Well, and it was really good. And now they have The Good Fight. So Paramount
Okay.
Plus or whatever, one of those
Okay.
streaming services came out with The Good Fight. And there's a lawyer who, we've been following her for like 10 years now. And her journey has been that she always was that person that was the right person for everybody. And she tried to be that. And finally, she just said, no, you know what? I'm going to fight back. And I started to fight back a little bit more where, like you said, I've had some people who would email me and say, well, if you do some editorial on us, we might buy advertising, and before I would have considered it. But now I'm like, no, like if you want to buy advertising with us, then buy advertising with us, but don't dangle this. Don't threaten me. Don't, be this person, because I don't have to do a story on you. If you find value in us, we're here for value. If you don't, then you don't. And people who wrong me, who are just nasty, who are mean, who aren't kind, I always tell them, I'm like, don't ever expect anything from us. I do things for people who are kind and gracious and give back. And, you and I, one of the people who wanted to buy us has wronged me recently. And I will never speak ill of that person, but I will never promote that person. I won't even bother them. They're not worth my time.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay. You said no,
like
and that's
that.
okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And it was a good thing. It's a good thing. It made, as soon as you say that, and you say it's okay, and like you make that decision, if that weight and that burning has been lifted off and you feel lighter, then it's the right decision.
I love that. I think that's a great place to end. So if the burning is lifted, the right decision. And it's okay that you made it.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been super fun. I love it. So tell the listeners, where can they find you? What's the best way to find you?
So many ways. If you don't follow us on social media, definitely follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. Edible Indie is our handle, and it's just like it sounds. And then we definitely have edibleindy.com, where we have a lot of exclusive content, stories, recipes, tips, gardening tips. Now's the time. I mean, we have a ridiculous amount of content on that site. And then, like we said, pick up our magazine. It comes out 4 times a year. Right now it's out. It was at Market District. However, it's already gone with Market District, but you can find us on our website. If you go to our website, there is a spot where you can find a list of all of the locations. And we are in Columbus, we're in Bloomington, Lafayette, Fishers. There's, like 40 or 45 different places. So pick us up. And if you want a home subscription, we can definitely make that happen on our website as well.
All that's in the show notes if people want to click on links. It's all in there.
Yeah. We would love it. We would love it.
We love it. All right.
Yeah.
Tell me one sentence about your tiny house. I want to know one sentence about your tiny house.
It is paradise. It's our cabana. It was a lifesaver during COVID. My husband and I had talked about this for a long time, and there is no running water. There's no toilets or anything like that, but there is electricity. But it's on a piece of our property that overlooks a pond. And that literally saved, I think, us during COVID, because we literally built this from the ground up. We planned it out. We blueprinted it. We built it with our own 2 hands. The only thing we haven't done is run the electricity and paint. Everything else, my husband and I did every weekend since March of 2020.
So fun. So fun.
It's almost done. It's super cute too. So
I'm coming over for a drink.
Doing stories. Absolutely. At sunset. At the
Awesome.
cabana. At the wine cabana. So thanks, Andrea. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your friendship and all you've taught me.
Thank you. And I appreciate you. So
awesome.
Go check out Edible Indie. Have a great day.
So what did you think of that? Didn't you love how Jennifer said, and that's okay, so many times? Because guess what? It is okay. Saying no is okay. Saying yes is okay. It's all how you want to think about it and the feeling that you want to create from it. She's created a lot of confidence over the past few years, and that has helped her make decisions. So if you would like to work with me directly, please go schedule a call with me via my website, AndreaLiebross.com, because I know that I can help you say it's okay to whatever's going on in your life, and at the same time, create the change you want to see. All right, until next week, see you later, my friends.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you're ready to commit to personal and professional growth, move forward, make money, and manage life, head to AndreaLiebross.com. That's AndreaLiebross.com to find out about the ways we can work together. Until next time, go level up.